Machine learning is all around us. From the shows that are recommended on Netflix, to the advertisements that pop up on your Instagram feed, and all the way to autocorrect features that suggest the next word while typing on your smartphone. Hello, I'm Faisal, and welcome to another episode of So What Do You Actually Do? This is a channel that is dedicated for employees and students that are interested in their future careers. If this clicks with you, please stick around and watch this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This is episode 10 of our tech series. I got the chance to talk to Ashraf. Ashraf is a machine learning and artificial intelligence engineer at CarMax. In this episode, Ashraf dives into his school days and breaks down the meaning of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science. He shares how he weaves machine learning into his work, discusses the programming languages that he utilizes, and provides an overview of anticipated salary range. So, without further ado, let's get to it. So, Ashraf, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of schooling and background leading up to the role that you're in as artificial intelligence and machine learning at CarMax.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, first of all, happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. Really, I'm excited to talk about this. Um, and a quick background. Okay, so I've always been interested in computers and software and just the combination of both. So I went to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. Did my undergrad initially in electrical engineering. Um, Got electrocuted a lot of times. It's a part of the experience. And then I decided I'd like to do more on the computer side. So I switched my major to computer engineering. And one thing I really liked about that is the combination of software and hardware. Um, Graduated from VCU, got an opportunity to do my master's also at VCU. Did my master's in a general, they call it electrical and computer engineering, but with a concentration of cyber physical systems. And I can talk more about that if we want to. Um, I worked at a local bank for a little bit as a data analyst or a data scientist, actually, um, and then got the opportunity in CarMax. What's interesting, and when I first joined CarMax, I did a lot of pure software engineering, back-end software engineering, databases, APIs. Then I found out about this team that is brand new in CarMax, and it was doing really early stages of a recommendation system, and that was back in 2019, I think. Recommendation system, some type of ML algorithms. So I decided to join the team. And fast forward now, almost 6 years. Crazy. I am now a senior engineer, or senior, officially a senior AI and ML engineer, as you mentioned. Um, and I primarily work with machine learning models. So combining the machine learning with the engineering aspect of it.
Thank you for this intro because our entire list of questions is from this exact intro that you gave us today.
Nice.
Uh, it basically piles up machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science. And I wanted to ask you as first question, what is machine learning and what is artificial intelligence?
So artificial intelligence is a subset of machine learning. The main differentiator between artificial intelligence and machine learning, artificial intelligence primarily is about mimicking human sense, whether it's the thinking aspect of it, the touching, the seeing things, versus machine learning is in general, and it's using data to predict a future, behavior, a future number. So think about it as you have some historic data that you have about something, and how do you predict or forecast what's the result? Um, it's a little more complicated than just a probability type of thing, because it accounts multiple points of data. So it doesn't account just one data point of, hey, for example, like what's my age? That's just one data point. But it could be what's your age, what's your height, what's all of that. And you compile it all in this, they call machine learning model. and that now becomes your predictor for a future thing that you're looking for. Whether, you know, what is your height and age and all of that at a certain point in time.
Okay. We can
Yeah.
dwell a little bit more on AI as we continue and giving examples from things that you've worked on.
Yeah.
The one last category I'd like to differentiate between those two, which is also something you did in your employment history, data science. How
Yeah.
is that different from those two, or does it complement them in a certain way?
Data science is the first process to create a machine learning model. The concept of data science is you take a data or you take set of data and you do some analysis on it, you do some exploratory work on it, you play around with the data, you merge things together, you join things, you transform things, and that is the whole concept of data science. Also, the the concept of a machine learning model is a part of data science. So when you hear about um, people going to college for data science, they usually also go over like what is the best algorithm to implement, like what we talked about, the prediction of the next hurricane. So that's also the think about it. It's the science of machine learning.
So you work at CarMax. CarMax is the biggest used car retailer in the United States. I've been working there for the last year, and I can't explain to you how much fun I've had working there. But I wanted to ask you, uh, in what capacity do you implement artificial learning in your job?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you're having a good time, CarMax. I was waiting for you to this is an honest open session to discuss about CarMax. I'm joking. Um, yeah, so people get surprised when I tell them like we use machine learning in CarMax. It's just because it's not so exposed. Um, some aspects of it is something that the customer would see, but there are aspects of it that are not seen by the customer, um, which is some of what I do. So my team, or at least our department, tackles a lot of machine learning models. My team primarily focuses on what we call the customer conversion side of the house. So we make sure that we implement models in our call center, and anytime you submit a lead through CarMax, and optimize and route your lead efficiently to the right person. So, for example, you give us a call to our call center, and it's during our busiest time in CarMax is during tax season. People getting tax refunds, people are looking to purchase vehicles, just selling their vehicle to CarMax and getting something newer, something bigger. And just imagine the influx of calls that come that day or that week or that period of time. What we do is we run machine learning algorithms in the backend to not staff correctly, um, to optimize the calls that come to the call center to be answered by the right associate with the right knowledge and with the right skills. So we give the customer the best experience. So example there. You and I called at the same time. You were calling about you're browsing vehicles. You just don't know if you want a pickup truck. What's the difference between an SUV, this SUV, or this pickup truck, versus me calling about, hey, I have reserved a vehicle. I already submitted an offer for my vehicle that I want to trade in. And I submitted the credit app, and all I need to do is just I want to pick up my vehicle, like make an appointment to pick up my vehicle. You see the skill sets now for somebody who picks up are different. In your case, somebody who's more knowledgeable about cars. We call it during the early customer journey, like of purchasing a vehicle, versus me. I'm already at the end of the purchasing journey, which I'm just looking to buy a car. So we run machine learnings in the backend to make sure we optimize you correctly. Um, and we make sure also to pick up your call the right time with the right data that we have about you.
I
That's
just
one part that we do. So
So I'm happy that you use this as an example. Tax season is one of the busiest seasons that the car industry experiences, and particularly in this case, CarMax. And they're getting a lot of calls from a lot of interested customers wanting cars. And I'm imagining like back in the days, there's someone sitting in a little room and they're just connecting the cable from one end to the other to connect you to the right person. But we've advanced so much to where we are today, optimizing those goals to get you to get people to the right person. And I wanted to ask you, um, what is your technical contribution to this project at CarMax?
Yeah. Um, so my position, and I like to give people this, there's what we call the model life cycle, the machine learning model life cycle. Starts off by a data scientist. The data scientist goes, and I'm holding this pen, I have no idea why, but you have a data scientist with an idea, like did some analysis and said, oh, look, this is going to bring in value. I think this is a great model. We should use it in point A, got approved from leadership and stuff. This is where I come. You build models on your machine, but you're the only technically one hitting it. So imagine now you put on our website, which gets millions of hits a day. Can it really handle that volume? That's one. So where you work on optimizing your model. Two, we give you live data. So when you run a model, let's say in our call center, we don't want our model to run data from yesterday and then give us Faisal's view yesterday. No, we want it right now. So we actually can help you with whatever you have now. It won't make sense if you call and then the customer says, or the machine model says, oh, he called us yesterday about something. That's the only data point we have. So two, we bring the live data feed to the model. So optimizing models, bringing the live data feed. Uh, and then now how we call it productionizing it, meaning we take it from an idea to something that could run on an enterprise scale. Um, and that's what we do. We, as engineers, that's why we're called AI and ML engineers, not scientists, because we use engineering techniques to wrap your model in this enterprise scale service and make sure that one, it's optimized. Again, two, it has all the data it needs. Three, it's built in an infrastructure that is dynamically scaling up and down based on needs. So back to the tax example, there's an influx of calls. So now your model needs to be able to handle that influx of calls versus, let's say during Christmas, do you really need to spend money on a model that doesn't get hit at all? And that's what we call scaling, dynamic scaling up and down. We make sure to test it. It's proven that it works, but there are always edge cases. There are always edge cases that you didn't account for. And we use automation to do that. Of course, you could do it. A human could come and do it. But we use various ways to test models automatically. Um, let's say, finally, once we push the model to production, um, we make sure that it's monitored. We make sure that we have dashboards to take a look at the health of the model. We make sure that if it fails, we have the right alerting and detection for failures and errors. So in summary, I guess we make an idea come to life by we make an idea that basically it's just an initial thing on a laptop to become an enterprise scale idea that could be utilized by consumers or whichever you want to use it for. So that's basically what we do or at least my position on my team.
So thank you for carrying us through that example. That was very helpful. I wanted to ask you, what are those specific languages or programs that you use in that example? And does it vary from one phase to the other?
Yeah, it varies. In my phase, of course, we host everything in the cloud. Um, So we're a Microsoft shop. So we use Microsoft Azure, but people probably have heard also with on we've heard about Amazon's AWS, excuse me, Azure Web Services. There's Google Cloud Services too. So we definitely use cloud services. Languages wise, we're a Python shop. Most machine learning models and data science actually uses Python nowadays. There are other R programming languages, but I call it a Swiss Army knife for
Mm,
programming nowadays, and it's pretty powerful, especially for machine learning. Um, we use a little bit of scripting using Bash or shell scripts. Those are used for automation. And then finally, we use, I think that's it. I was going to say C sharp, but that's another team. Um, but you do use C sharp too. So it's primarily Python. If there's one big programming language they use, it is definitely Python.
got it. Thank you for that. What would you say are the main skills that would make you successful in this role?
Um, Technical or soft skills, or both?
You can say one for each or two for each. Can make it
Yeah.
simple.
Um, Python programming, that's definitely the skill number one, technically. You need to know Python, how Python works, how do you program Python. Um, the other part is, I think, having the knowledge of machine learning doesn't have to be like too deep. I get asked this question a lot. Um, you don't have to go into the little nitty-gritty details about like how does a machine learning model work, but you need to know the big picture of like how does it work in general in Python, how you build a machine learning in Python. Uh, these kind of like intertwine, like Python with ML as one skill. I think that is crucial. And then there's cloud services, second really crucial skill. I think nowadays a lot of companies will require that, whether you're in the ML field or not. But with ML specifically and big data, you always need cloud experience or cloud skills, whether it's a specific provider, like I mentioned, Microsoft's Azure, or it could be Amazon's AWS, or it could be Google Cloud, whichever. Just they all have the same concept, just different providers.
Mhm.
On the soft side of it, I think even though as a machine learning engineer, you're not really selling the idea of this model is gonna bring in value. But depending where you work, as I mentioned earlier, there are people that actually start from scratch. So you need to tell a story of why do we need to spend resources on this, and you got to know how to tell the story. But also, let's say in my position in CarMax, I think you need to make sure to communicate properly of what are the realistic expectations of this model. Um, there's always the expectation of this model is going to perform, perfect. Everything is going to work well, but this is not how it works in the real world. You always have failures. You always have little drifts. You don't have data all the time. Like I mentioned, you could get attacked by like bots and messes up things. There's things you don't expect. So you got to know there's a fine line in the middle of like what is the real expectation? What should we expect versus a perfect world? That's definitely a really crucial skill in this field, especially with nowadays where, you know, a lot of people out in the world, they think AI will solve all our problems. ML is gonna make everything perfect. It does make things more efficient and optimizes it, but there is realistic expectations that need to be met.
Yep, yep. It
Yeah,
need to be both realistic and hopeful, but you can't just be hopeful without having a realistic
exactly.
approach.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Last question, and it is optional.
Yeah.
How much is the pay range for this role in industry?
So there's two factors that depend. It's the location and your years of experience. And I think the first couple years, you should expect something close to the six figures, depending on your location. Of course, if you're in California, it's probably higher. But we're talking locally in Richmond, you should make at least with three. My cats are messing around. With 3 to 5 years experience, you should make at least between 120, 130, all the way higher to $180,000.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this is, I guess, this is just salary, not all the add-ons.
Yeah.
Uh, talking
Yeah.
about the
Yeah,
base.
and it depends on the company, of course.
Yeah.
So there are great opportunities for making realistically, there's always the odd ones, the big tech you could make 250, 300K. But the realistic is from 3 to 5 years experience, you should make from at least 120, 130, all the way up to 180. And that's your base salary.
Okay, makes sense. Ashraf, I had a privilege to have you on this channel, and I had a lot of information coming my way that is just eye-opening. So thank you so much for deciphering it in such an elegant and simple way.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for the invite. I hope this was helpful. I hope you don't mind some of the cats if you hear any cats, and I hope you don't. Um, and yeah, it's been great, and I love that I was able to decipher some of the things for you today.
Thank you, and your cats are always welcome to join the channel on the jobs that they do, which I bet
Yeah.
are really hard and but also relaxing.
Yeah, you could talk a lot about sleeping and eating and
Being petted and
wandering
showers.
around. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Ashraf, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one.
You too.